Hi, I'm Mash Bonigala. So yesterday I was talking to a long-term friend, and we've been friends for forever. And over the years, several times we thought of getting into a business, right? Launching a venture together. And as you know, I am a serial entrepreneur. I have, since 1998, I've sort of launched, built, sold, and partnered in a ton of different startups and ventures. So it's with any friend, when the conversation turns to starting a business together or launching a venture, I'm really keen. It's something that intellectually stimulates me. It gives me that kind of drive to move forward because, as I mentioned in one of the videos, it's not just about the money, right? So money would follow. Money always follows, but it is the passion that comes first. But anyway, the topic for this video is about whether dreaming big is good or starting small is good. So it's almost like saying dreaming big versus starting small. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is over the years, I and my friend, we've been teasing out, we've been flirting with the idea of launching a business together. Now, the reason it did not happen, and this came to light yesterday when we had a heart-to-heart kind of conversation, and we were like, what's going on? Why are we not able to sort of nail an idea and launch a business? And the reason I felt it was almost like an epiphany, I realized, was that our mindsets were dimensionally different, right? So my friend comes from a very kind of a corporate background. He comes from multinational banking sector, legal sector. He was the head of legal. He still is the head of legal for a very popular bank. And well, he's now, of course, he's trying to step down and sort of go into his own. So hence the reason for this discussion about the business. Now, because he comes from such a kind of a global corporate structure, my friend's ideas are always very big. Now, I also have big ideas. Now, there's nothing wrong with having big ideas. But when you have big ideas, it takes a lot more kind of effort and luck for all the pieces to fall into place, right? So a venture has to, in my opinion, start small. Now, I come from an entrepreneurial background as opposed to a corporate structure. And my thinking is always beachhead strategy, agile kind of strategies where you have a MVP or you have a proof of concept. You test that idea out and then think about scaling it. So you start with 1, 2, 3 customers and then take it to 3,000, 30,000, and even 3 million customers. And I've done that with a lot of businesses in the past. So that's where the conflict has come. And that made me think. So is dreaming big bad versus like starting small? I think the best approach would be to dream big, but to start small. Because if you look at any of the big brands out there, any of the big ventures out there, they all started small, but they had big ideas, right? So I know this is going to be a cliche, and you probably watched this or read about this a ton of times. But when Jeff Bezos was starting Amazon, it was, of course, from his garage, the back of his garage. But I saw a video in one of his interviews in the very early days. Yeah, this is going back, I don't know, in the 90s. And he was quoted saying that he wanted to have the world's biggest online library when online things were really not a thing, right? People were not really talking about online things. And yet, at that time, he started from the back of his garage with a few books and, the rest is history. But, and you can see that with a lot of other brands out there. So therefore, if you're an entrepreneur and if you are thinking of launching a business, and if you've been thinking of launching a business, if you've been thinking of starting a venture and yet are not making progress, just step back a little bit and take a look at your mindset. Are you looking at this really big picture? Are you looking at this big picture and being paralyzed by, or rather overwhelmed by what it would take to enable that big picture, right? Or are you having a big picture and yet you're taking one step at a time? It's very critical, and that is what makes the difference between people who launch ventures or businesses and those who just keep talking about it. Because 9 out of 10 people have great ideas but not do anything with them, right? They never progress beyond the idea phase. And then the one person out of that 10 who does really move from that phase and start putting the kind of links and the steps to enable to make that venture a reality are the people who take the first steps rather than get bogged down by the big picture. Now, this might be counterintuitive because all over the internet, the YouTube, you hear people talking about think big, right? Aim for the moon, and then you hit the mountain, aim for the mountain, at least you get halfway through, and so on and so forth. So don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with thinking big, right? You gotta think big. I wholeheartedly support thinking big, but you gotta start small and you gotta take the first steps. Get that proof out there. Starting small, looking at the horizon, looking at the goal, but then it's like what they say, put your head down, eyes up, right? So you're looking at your feet, you're looking at the step, the next step, and the step after that. And then occasionally you're looking up to see if you're aligned with the direction of the goal. So anyway, I'm rambling now. It's just repeating, but it's a simple point, but it's very profound. It's very powerful. If you are bogged down and you're not able to take the next step, do this. Just pare it down. Write down your big goals, put them aside. Start with the first step. What do you need to do for this brand, right? Start with the simplest things. Write a business plan. That's the first thing. You probably already have that. Okay, then build a brand, right? Okay, so you may have a logo. Now, it's not just about the logo. Build a brand, build a story. Build a brand story. Okay, build a brand here might be confused. I don't mean build a brand in the physical sense, but build the fundamentals of the brand, the elements of the brand, right? And those elements should focus, of course, on the long goal, but they're also focused on the present moment. They move you one step closer. And if it's a product, do a prototype, right? Get that prototype out there. Do a test case scenario. If it's a service, then offer it to one person, 2 persons, and then take the next step. If it's SaaS, a software as a service kind of a venture, or if it's even if it's bigger ventures, even if it's a hedge fund, right? Start small. Start with $1,000. Start with $10,000, and so on. Okay. If you have any questions on this, or if you have any stories, please share them below, and I'll try and respond to you. And of course, if you have any questions, just ask me, and let's have a conversation about this. I want to know what's happening with your venture mindset, right? Even if you're trying to be a day trader, if you want to be a swing trader, if you want to go into investments, if you're just investing, it's still the same journey. Let me know. Let's have a conversation. All right. Till the next video, take care.